Hello, pursuers. Welcome to another episode of the Pursuit of Happiness podcast. Today, I am going to be answering some pursuer questions. Now, these are called the Dear Noz segment. So if you guys are more Bravo related and you like the recaps, fantastic. There are some Bravo questions in here that I'm going to ask. Usually I'll do that on the second half of the show. Normally, I love to give advice, but lately, because I'm almost on this will be the 70th episode of the podcast. I've been getting a lot more questions about me in general. So I think what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm going to break down a lot of the Dear Noz segments. The next one will probably be giving advice, and then some Bravo questions, or reality TV questions. I don't want to just say Bravo. And then another one will be where it's like really dig deep questions about myself. And I'll throw in some Bravo or reality TV in there. This one is the Dear Noz edition of Get to Know Me. Okay, Get to Know Me edition. Sorry, I should say. So I'm seeing a lot of questions regarding me, my life. I'm happy to get into it if it's going to help people out. I do have quite a crazy story. I'm not going to get too into it until there's some parts of my life that are just crazy. And if I explain to you what or why, it's gonna just put me out there, and I don't, because I'm associated with some things and from very well-known figures, but I don't want to talk about that quite yet. It's just something that I'm not comfortable quite sharing, although I know when I get to one point in my life, I will be able to share that. And how amazing that you guys that are here with me are going to be along on that journey when I'm finally able and willing and comfortable enough to be able to speak about it. And really, when I do speak about it, it's because I want to make sure that I have enough of an impact on people. Because what's the point of sharing something so deep and associating myself with these people when it's going to be for nothing? And I'm not saying that I want to monetize it. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. I don't care if I make $1 off of it. That's not my intention. My intention is so that if I do finally say it, it's so that it can impact people so they don't do the same things that I did. But we'll leave that for another day in the future. Let's get into some of these questions. They look great. Oh my God, do I have to? Okay, let's go with, what's the biggest lesson your 40s have taught you so far? Okay, so if you guys don't know, and if you're new here, well, welcome to the Pursuit of Happiness. But I will be turning 42 in October. My birthday is October the 8th. And this question asks, what's the biggest lesson that my 40s have taught me so far? Is that life doesn't really wait for anybody. And I think I've always known that, but it hits a lot deeper at this point in my life because so many things have happened and life has just kept going and going and going. And I realized that I can't even take a moment to breathe. But another thing that I want to kind of couple with, that life keeps on going is that with age, typically for most people, I want to say, because again, I'm not a statistic person. I don't take stats, and I'm trying to speak for myself, and I want to give the benefit of the doubt to society. I feel like the more you age, you gain a lot of wisdom. So although the con is that life doesn't slow down and wait for anybody, the pro is you handle situations much more eloquently, I want to say, because you are always in a solution-based mode. Like, let's find a solution for this rather than let's sit in the problem. And that type of wisdom, so my 40s has taught me that life doesn't slow down for anybody, but also I'm wise enough and I have enough tools under my belt that I'm able to get myself out of a situation and find a solution much more quickly than when I was younger and I would sit in it and I would dwell in it and I was like, and I would just gaslight my own self into thinking that I'm unable to kind of figure it out. And I think that that's powerful. And I want any woman that's listening to this, or any just body in general that's listening to this, to realize that we are so lucky that we are able to age. And by age, I mean, yes, my biological age is going up, but I don't feel like mentally I'm aging a lot. Although I do, like there's two sides to it. Like I still feel young, and I think that's what keeps you young. But at the same time, I feel like I've gone through things. And not necessarily that I'm getting older, but I'm gaining wisdom by going through things. Like I've gone through experiences that only being on this planet long enough will allow you to go through. And for that, I'm so grateful because I know a lot of people. And here's another thing about the 40s, and I don't want to keep talking about I want to really talk about the positive things, but you start to lose a lot of people for the craziest things. Like when I was younger, I would think, okay, old age is how a lot of people are going to pass. I'm a millennial. So now I'm living through the fentanyl crisis. And a lot of people are dying from drug overdoses, from car accidents, from just illnesses. At my age, a little bit older, a little bit younger. And you're just, one minute they're there and the next minute they're gone. People that are actors that I watched growing up, a lot of them are passed away now. My family, a lot of people have passed away. I'm Iranian, so just this past year with the war in Iran, we lost some family members. I still have a lot of family back home. It's really kind of eye-opening. And again, with that, like life doesn't wait for anybody. It just keeps going. So I'm grateful that I'm still allowed another day, like truly grateful. And sometimes I do take things for granted, but I want to always try to be in the present moment, which another thing that I'm working on in my 40s is to just be present because all you really have is today. And that's another thing that you learn. Again, solution oriented, my anxiety has gone down a lot throughout the years. And I think part of it is because I'm realizing that all I have is right now. So what can I do right now? Find a solution right now. Do things that I need to do right now. And eventually, when tomorrow comes, because I've tackled things that I need to do the day before, I'm less anxious. Things don't pile on. Work is getting done. For me, and maybe it's the ADHD, I have to really look at things in segments, like in portions. I can't look at things as an overall picture. Do I know where I want to be in 10 years, 5 years? Of course. I know what I want for myself. I know what kind of life I want to live and that I deserve to live. But I can't sit there and just keep thinking about that because then it puts me in an anxious state and then nothing gets down in the present moment. And then a year goes by, a day goes by, a month goes by, and I could have been doing something in that moment that could get me a bit further to my goal of what I want in my life. And that's another thing my 40s have taught me. Again, like I said, be solution oriented, not necessarily focus too much on the problem. Like problems will always come, but it's like, what can you take out of that and create something so that it becomes a solution, whether now or in the future. And I think the word would be patience. I've learned a lot of patience. Sometimes I'm very impatient, but when it comes to life, I've learned that I can't rush life because it's life on life's terms. And yeah, I'm just I'm grateful that I'm given another day, and I'm grateful for my brain and the way that I think and how I've been able to overcome all these problems. And I really want to just be less hard on myself because I'm doing the best that I can with what I know, and I think that that's good enough for me, But what has my 40s taught me? That life doesn't stop for anybody. And now that I have a lot more wisdom and experiences, I really can accomplish and achieve anything that I want. My motto has always been, you're never too old and it's never too late. And I have to keep reminding myself that because sometimes I do feel like, oh man, because I'm going back to school to get my degree in computer science, which I never finished my bachelor's when I was younger. I just started to party a lot more, and hence why the recovery and the addiction. But I want to look at things half full, not half empty, which I've always been an optimistic person anyways. That's why I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go back. I'm going to get my degrees, but I'm able to. Who says I can't? Just because I'm 40? Just because I'm going to be 42? The time's going to pass anyways. I might as well keep working on my body, keep working on myself. Because by the way that I look at life, and I'm given another day every day, that's just another day that I can create something that can have an impact, So we're still really early in my 40s, but and it's been no short of events. Let me just tell you that. And I think I feel the best and I look the best, and I'm the smartest that I've ever been. I'm the most laid back and patient. So I'm just grateful, I guess, grateful for it all. And I'm a lot more patient. I'm willing to wait for things to happen. I don't need it to rush anymore. No, time, please slow down. Okay. Okay. Let's see. What's the hardest truth that you've ever had to accept? That this is going to be conspiracy theory kind of ish. So I apologize in advance, but we are taught to believe that what we know as a society is what's right. And I think that that's completely wrong. I think that is completely and utterly wrong. You don't have to accept what it is. There's some things that are inescapable. Taxes, work. But then again, there's people that go live off grid and they don't pay as much tax and they don't work necessarily like a 9 to 5, or they have some income coming in, but it's not like where they're like a slave to a system. And I want to always be true to what I want, but I have to make sure that it aligns with following a set of rules that won't necessarily put me in trouble. Let me put it that way. Okay. Because of course there's things that who wants to pay taxes, but evading them and then you getting caught is eventually going to get you in bigger trouble than if you had just paid it. But are there ways that you can minimize the amount that you pay? Sure. So I want to be smart in ways like that. Like, I don't want to be like a criminal about it. Do you know what I mean? But I want to make sure that I'm the smartest about it. So what's the hardest truth that I've ever had to accept is that I can't escape some of these regulations that are put into place for a society, for a law, for a country, for just things, of life. But I can be smart and figure out ways that it could benefit me and not necessarily not do it at all, because that's also wrong. I don't want to be, like I said, a non-law abiding citizen, but at the same time question, like, how can I rearrange this somehow so that I'm still benefiting the max for myself, but not also giving it all away, if that makes sense. And that can be anything: energy, your money, your impact, For the longest time, I tried to avoid it in general. Like, I'm not going to do that. That's so stupid. Who made up that rule? Why is that even a law? But then when I would come back to my senses, I realized that I'm so much more behind. So now it's just like, how can I benefit or make this so that it benefits me, but I'm still doing what I'm supposed to do? I don't know if that makes sense. I don't want to get too detailed in that quite yet. I'll save that for the book. No, just kidding. But I've got to tie up my hair right now. It's just in my face. But there's so many freaking rules. That's part of the reason why I moved to Mexico, and I see some Mexico questions in there. But I just got so sick of just the rules. That's the rule. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. And I always tried to take shortcuts, but the shortcuts made my way just so much more longer, although I gained tons of experiences doing it. For example, okay, let me say this. I never wanted to work and pay taxes in my 20s. Although I did. I always filed my taxes, but I was like, I ended up being an escort. I worked in adult entertainment. And I made a lot of money. I made probably 3 times the amount that my parents made with their incomes combined at one point. But now that I'm back in and I'm being an entrepreneur and I'm starting my own kind of like media brand and I'm doing my podcast, I'm doing something that I love, and I'm not monetizing from it now, but I love doing it even though it's for free because it's something that I love and I just want to do. I want to be in this space. I want to have an impact with all my experiences that I've had and things that I've been through. But had I had this mentality 10, 15 years ago, I could have started all of this 10, 15 years ago, and who knows in what position or space I would be in at this time, you know? But part of that is that I had to go through that to understand it. So I'm not mad at my journey, but I finally came to surrendering to the fact that like I can't evade the system of getting there by following the steps. I can't miss steps, you know? And my fitness, and because I'm a bodybuilder and I'm in the fitness space, my fitness has a lot to do with the way that I interpret everything. If you want to get your physique to a certain point, you can't miss steps. You have to eat right. You have to make sure you get in your exercise. You don't have to be a bodybuilder walking on stage with the tan, although I love those. But I'm just saying, like, that's my thing. That's my niche. I like that. I like that niche kind of thing. But like, just to be physically fit to get to the physique that you want to get to, we're seeing now that there's GLP-1s and, you know, eating disorders, and people don't eat, and there's street drugs out there that prevent people from eating so they're able to maintain a weight. But what happens is when you get back to reality, that weight comes back because you skipped steps to get there. And the only way, and fitness is one of those things that you can't cheat it because it will reflect on the way that you look. You have to follow the steps in order to get to that physique. And only then will you not only cherish the amount of work that you put in, but love yourself so much more because you know that you work so hard for it. And that's the truth. The hardest truth that I've had to accept. It's like, I can't skip steps. I got to do it in order and just be smart about how I do it so that perhaps I don't need to skip anything. I don't need to take shortcuts, but just do it properly, because properly will probably get me there faster than trying to like skip steps here and there. And then I find myself back at the beginning again. There, I said that way makes more sense. But at the beginning, it just kind of didn't make sense. But again, not apologizing or ungrateful for any of the journeys and the steps and the mistakes that I've made along the way. Because that landed me with my daughter. That landed me with the mindset that I have right now. And I love that about me. I love my daughter and I love what she's been able to bring out in me. And I love who I've become. So had I not gone through those, had I not gone through a phase of my life where I just wanted to skip steps and get there faster and find every shortcut possible, I would have never found out that this is who I authentically am. But that is, back to the question, I'm circling back, that is the hardest truth that I've had to accept, that there are no shortcuts. There we go, I said it, there are no shortcuts. Oh my God, wow, I was so long-winded. It took me so long to get to that point, but okay. Okay, let's get into some sobriety questions. What do people misunderstand most about addiction? Interesting. Okay, this is going to be a little bit deep, but what question hasn't? I'm going to talk about myself because I can't talk for other people. What do people misunderstand most about my addiction is that the reason I was an addict and I became an addict was it stemmed a lot from body issues. So I was addicted to cocaine for many years. And the first time that I tried it was at the age of 25. I was working at a restaurant called Earl's. In Canada, we have Cactus Club and we have Earl's. They're two kind of like brother chain restaurants. And I worked at Cactus Club and I was like serving. And then I left Cactus Club because I wanted to become a server faster. So then I went to its like brother company, Earl's, which was just down the street from my house. At that time, like Earl's and Cactus, we grew up on. They were close to my house then. And I met these girls and they were constantly partying all night long. And I was like, I don't know how you guys do it. Like, I'm ready to go to sleep after a drink or two. Like, I'm throwing up. And they're like, oh, we do cocaine. So I was like, oh, I want to try that. I don't know. I was 25. I don't know why I did it. But again, had I not had those experiences, my life wouldn't be where it is today. Regardless, I don't blame them because I had the addict gene. But anyways, they let me try cocaine. And I loved it. Part of me now knows it's because part of it is I had ADHD, but a lot of them would do it and they would party. And I would do it and I would start, my thinking would get clear. Not for long because it is still a street drug, but I would be like, oh my God, everything's making sense in my life right now. I need to go home. I need to clean it. My room was a mess. Like I would become so much more, I would become much more clean, you know? I would become much more like, my thinking would become a straight line rather than like jagged little edges, you know? Of course, it wasn't a true way of curing ADHD, but that was one part of it. The next part of it was it kept me skinny. And I realized that a lot of my addiction stems from I'm not happy with my body. I'm always trying to change something of it. At a young age, I thought I looked a certain way, and then I would wear clothes that other people would wear, and it didn't look, I could just tell it didn't look the same on me as it did on other people. And I'm like, why is my body letting me down like this? I am a Persian girl. I grew up in, Red Deer, Alberta. I grew up in a white culture. And I call myself a Persian hit because I love my hip hop, but I learned how to drive with a truck. And I used to listen to Kenny Rogers growing up. Like, I thought I would look like Pamela Anderson because I didn't know. Like, no one told me that I was different. I only started to notice that I was different when I got to high school and people would start treating me different. They're like, you think that you're so hot, but you're not. And I think a lot of it, and even when I got my ADHD diagnosis 7-8 years ago, and I started abusing those drugs because it kept me skinny, it's like, remember the question that I had earlier? Why do I keep taking these shortcuts? Like, all those things that I took was, A, I wanted to clear my thinking, and B, I wanted to be skinny. And that's exactly what those drugs did for me. On top of that, I can't handle my liquor. I swear to God, I'm allergic to alcohol. I have one drink and I'm like wasted. Which is so weird because my dad was an alcoholic and my brother can handle his liquor so well. My brother also has the addict gene, but we won't get into his issues. That's for him. He knows that he is, by the way. I'm not like calling him out or anything, but to further this along, those are just the symptoms of something that I was going through. Really what it was is I was dealing with body image issues and I had ADHD and I was trying to self-medicate. I'm also so hyper. So I went through a period of pot, like I would do cocaine when I would drink, and I sometimes wouldn't drink and I would do cocaine. This is so weird. But also, you guys, I would smoke so much weed because I was just this hyper girl. And I've had discussions about this lately on my socials because I would say something about like Real Housewives of Atlanta and people would think that I maybe being a little bit racist, but I'm not being racist. I'm not black, but I am a person of color. And if I'm too intense or excited, it comes across as being aggressive, and I don't know why. Is it because I'm Persian and I use my hands a lot, so that kind of like makes people uncomfortable? I've always been told to shush. Even my dad would tell me, you're too loud. You're a girl. Calm down. And I hate that. Let me be excited. Like that little girl inside of me just wanted to be excited for those 3 minutes, not to be told to shush. So, I'm just now embracing who I am. And it's okay that I'm excited. And it's okay that I talk with my hands. But I would self-medicate with pot also. Like pot was another huge, I smoked pot straight for like 20 years. Like never missing a day, waking up to a joint, go to work and because I wanted to be calm. And then the days that I didn't smoke weed, I was my ADHD self. And people are like, is everything okay? As if that was wrong. As if me being myself was wrong, but me being medicated on my drug of choice, which was weed, was the way that I'm supposed to be. So many mixed messages. So what's the thing that most people misunderstand about addiction, and especially speaking for myself, my addiction is that me being a drug addict was just a symptom of trying to mute or silence something about me that I thought was wrong. And I know many people do it for other things. Many people want to silence the voices in their head because, they could have mental health, or they had something happen at a young age and they try to silence those memories. Understandable. This was for me. I wanted to be a certain weight. I wanted to not be as excited. But those were all the things that made me like me and so unique. And I tried to hum that and hush that just so I could fit in, or that I wouldn't be told that I was excited. It's still something that I deal with to this day. If I react a certain way or if I get really intense, I'm emotional. But no offense to my white people. I love my white people. I'm telling you, I grew up in Red Deer, Alberta. I thought I was white, okay? My daughter is half white. So I have nothing against white people, but they're never as intense as I see as people in my culture. So I still deal with, me being like very expressive and dramatic when I speak, and other people are very like, you're soft, and I wish I was like that, but that's not me. So I'm sick of minimizing myself just to fit into these spaces that perhaps were not meant for me in the first place. But I also want people to learn that we're not all built the same. We're not all monotone. Like, part of the reason that we're all unique to ourselves is because we react different, we speak different, we're passionate about different things. And how dare people hush us down when they are able to accept other people's way of being, So back to, circling back to the question, what do people misunderstand the most about addiction is that it stems from something within us. And I'm sure this is, I'm saying something that we all know, but again, it stems from something within us that we're trying to hush. And when we do that, these drugs release all these endorphins that now we associate, okay, hushing my pain with, wow, it feels so good because like I don't feel the pain anymore, but now I have all these endorphins and my brain just feels great. So that's how it becomes addictive, But I think that you have to, and I'm going to keep it on this because this is such a deep conversation. You can get out of any sort of addiction as long as you want it. You need to want it. Even people that are highly addicted to fentanyl and alcohol, and they get the shakes and their body is going through physical withdrawal. There's resources out there. There's places that you can go, that you can stay, that will help you get off of that. But you have to really want to, because that's the only way that you're going to mentally withstand the physical withdrawal. Although physically you're going to be in pain, but mentally you're going to just be like, I'm doing this because I need to. But when you're actively in addiction, it's very hard. There has to be like a glimmer of light in that moment when you're high as shit on whatever your drug of choice is, that you think, okay, no, I need to get out of this. And you follow that light to wherever it takes you to get off of that shit, because it is fucking hard. It's not easy. I'm not saying that it's easy at all. I'm just saying that you have to really fucking want to do it. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. Has your definition of fun changed? Yeah, of course. Just in general, not even from being sober, but I still, like, I'm the type of person that I can go be around people that drink. I have been around people that have done drugs. I don't purposely put myself in those situations, but like if we're before been out for a dinner and I just notice someone, I just can tell. I'm okay. I'm at a point in my life where I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with that and the hangover of it all and the feeling like shit. Like, I've been working on my body and my health, and I have a kid to raise, and when she was younger, I was still like, because I had relapsed at a point and I was in active addiction. And I don't like that feeling of when she's awake and she thinks that, and I'm looking at her and like, I'm just like so out of it, you know, I don't want that feeling ever. And she's older now, and she, even if I'm a little bit more bitchy, like she can tell. And I don't want to put her through that. When she was younger, she probably doesn't remember. I would put her in front of a TV and I could just go do my thing, and she could play in her room. But now she's much more aware. I'm not saying that I would just send her off. Obviously, I'm in the house with her, and we've always lived in a small place. It's just always been me and my daughter and my dogs. But there wasn't much like verbal interacting because she was too young, right? It was just more like playing. And at that point, she doesn't notice. But now to have a normal conversation and for me to be completely out of it, it's going to leave such a negative impact on her seeing me that way. I don't want to ever put her through that again. And I don't want to ever feel the way that I would feel when I would wake up and be like, why did I do this to myself? And I'm so glad, like, that is one thing I'm so grateful for, that I never have to feel like that again. So has my definition of fun changed? Yeah, but because of my age too, because like, usually I just want to lay in bed and watch my shows. My reality TV shows, because as we all know, the basis of part of this podcast is that I love my reality TV because it really does regulate my nervous system. It makes me feel fucking good, and I'm not going to apologize for that anymore. Like, I like to watch shows, TV, movies. I don't really like the documentaries as much. Like, I'll watch a good one here and there. But I do love just like watching movies. I just like to like immerse myself into them. Of course, it's not real life, but it's just something that you can watch and kind of like get your mind off of things. And I think a lot of basis of it is based on some real life, like the interaction between the humans, obviously is real life. Although there is a downfall to that, because when I was younger, I would watch shows like Full House, and you know how they would address like issues like bullying and whatnot. And I would go and do the same thing to kids, but they would always have a comeback. I'm like, wait a minute, this wasn't in the show. You know what I mean? So, but now I'm older and I know, but like right now I'm on a kick of The Walking Dead. I watched it when I was pregnant with my daughter, but I'm on watching it again. And it's just something that I always just have on in the background, and it just kind of keeps me calm. And then if I've missed a show, or if I missed an episode and I forget what was in that episode, I'll go back a couple like episodes just to watch it, to actually like take it in when I'm actually ready. But if not, like, it's just playing in the background. It's funny because me and my daughter joke, because I'll put it on to go to bed and it's like walkers in the background. I'm like trying to fall asleep, and I do. It's just soothing for me at this point, you guys. So, yeah, my definition of fun has certainly changed. Let's go down a little bit. Let's get into some. Oh, nice. What inspired you to move to Mexico? This is a good one. I get this a lot. I wanted to move to Mexico because I was just sick of the grind, the 9 to 5 grind here in Canada. I'm going to only speak for Canada. I like to say North America, but then Mexico's part of North America, and you know, it's a little bit different. I was saying earlier that like I feel like we've been conditioned to think a certain way about life. And I find that when I'm in Canada at home, I'm just constantly running to get to places, and I don't always need to be in that rush. So I wanted to move to Mexico to kind of to just get away from the toxic consumerism of it all, really, and the toxic consumption culture and consumption of everything, sex, drugs, constantly going out to eat, which by the way, they still do in Mexico. That's not what but the prices are vastly different. I want it to be something where it's more family oriented, more cultured for my daughter. I really had wanted to I took my nails off, I took my lashes off. I wanted to start fresh. I wanted to get rid of everything externally that I felt defined me, and go there and build myself back up from the ground up, because I was really in a rut and I just did not know what I wanted. My favorite part about living there, that's another question, was the weather. Oh my God, you could walk out and it'd be like 37 degrees. I'm like, oh, I love this. Like, to a point that you couldn't breathe. Like, that's the weather that I want to walk out to every single day. So that was my favorite part. What was the hardest adjustment about living in Mexico? Being away from my family. not knowing where everything is. Like here, if I want to, in Canada, if I want to go somewhere, I know where it is. I know who to go to. I know what to do. I know how to get it. I was just getting assimilated to life there and accustomed to life there. And then we ended up coming back because my daughter wanted to come back to go to school in Canada. But another question, these all tie in together. Did moving away change you? It absolutely did. I still haven't put my lashes back on. I let my natural lashes grow. And I'm wearing mascara again. I still haven't gotten my nails done, although that's something that I'll probably do a little bit more into the future because I do like it. I realize that I don't need to live, I can live without my lashes and I can live without the nails, but I like to have my nails done. But because I'm going back to school and I want to take notes and I don't want to like, oh, my nails are in the way. So I'm going to really like wait until school starts and see. I'm also saving money by not always getting, not that, look, I'm not saying that don't take care of yourself. I still get my waxing done. I still dye my grays. But the Botox and the lashes and the nails are things that I thought that I couldn't live without. And now I realize that I can live without it. I feel much more lighter without them. And I'm much more my natural self, So yeah, it did change. And I realized that what I want to do when I come back, because I realized that we were going to move back. We came home for a couple months in February to visit some family because that was when the war in Iran was happening. And on top of that, my cousin passed away. And then my other cousin that lives here in Canada was getting married. And then when we came home, that's when my daughter was like, Mom, I think I want to move back. So of course, part of me was like, great, I failed at something again. We moved there and I couldn't make it last. But I was kind of like relieved that we were coming back at the same time because it's like I get to be around my family, the support of my family. And I really want to be like, okay, what's the next step for me? Like, I'm not going to I've learned so much just by going there and being on our own and coming back. And me and my daughter drove there. We drove back. We went through all these states. It was beautiful. I know that. And then I realized that the next step in my life, what I want to do is I want to get my bachelor's and finish it off in technology and computer science. So that's the next step. I've already enrolled, just waiting for a registration date so I can enroll in the classes. So it's been very eye-opening. It's changed me. I know what I want to do a little bit more. My daughter's only in high school for another 4 or 5 years. After she's done, she's going to go to college, university somewhere, and I can move back to Mexico if I wanted. I think the next step that I'm trying to do is either get a really good tech job out in China or in New York, because these are the places that are very technologically advanced. So, I've made goals. And then when I have enough money, I will buy a place in Mexico and I will live there part-time. Part of what I loved was, I could just walk down the street and no one knew who I was. And I didn't have to be a certain way. Like here, I feel like I got to look a certain way if I want to step out of my house, which is part of the thing that I want to get out of because I'm in this fitness space and people know me and I've grown up in the city. I've lived here pretty much my entire life. So, 6 degrees of separation, really, it's like down to 3 degrees of separation. Like every third person that you meet knows someone that you know, or, whatever. And I just had that freedom there where I didn't have to always be so fit or always look on point, but I'm starting to be okay with that as well. And not worrying about extra things has just led me to really worry about what I really find important, and that's my health and my fitness. So that time that I would spend doing, the lashes and this and that, I'm spending it more on walking to the gym, going to the gym, and because I always take breaks from the gym, and now I have a really good system. I'll go to the gym 3-4 times a week tops. I don't burn myself out. I'm still looking good. I'm finally on point with my eating. I stopped taking my ADHD medication. That's another story for another day. But I'm just saying it's that short amount of time taught me a lot, and I'm just hope I continue on that trajectory. So that I'm constantly evolving, I don't stump my evolution at some point. This is the last question I'm going to answer about Mexico, and then we'll move on. What did Mexico teach you about happiness? This is something that I've known for a long time, but Mexico definitely taught me because it was the newest and latest adventure. I was always once I get my nails done, once I'm skinny, once I'm this, my life is going to be like this. But it's like that happiness, and part of the reason that I have the pursuit of happiness as my podcast, and I have the tattoo on my body. It's like, that's exactly what it is. It's a pursuit. It's never a destination. So if I want to pursue a moment or a time of happiness, I have to do the things every day that will keep me in that state, because it's a fleeting moment. It's not a lasting event, going to the gym every day keeps me happy, because the next day when I wake up, I'm not feeling guilty that I didn't go the previous day. Watching my shows, doing my podcast, doing the things that I love, feeling like I'm have an impact, even if I only have 10 followers. Being able to really follow my journey and my path of where I feel like I belong, and these are the things, and eliminate all the extra things that's just what they were, extras. Hanging out with the wrong people, being focused on the wrong things, wanting to look a certain way, but I'm just embracing who I am, and these things that I do every day, the little things I do every day, really keep me in moments of happiness every day. Like, I have more moments of happiness now than I've probably ever had in my life, because before it was like a build up. Like, I would do all these things to build up to that moment, and then the moment was so small or so fleeting, and then I'd be like, that's it, that's all, and then I was always chasing it. But now I realize that it's how I build, it's built in my everyday habits that the happiness comes. And it really is just, it lasts a couple seconds, but at least in those couple seconds, in the moments of happiness, I also feel proud and grateful and accomplished, because I was able to do what I wanted to do, which is why it leads me to the happiness. So yeah, it's taught me that happiness is fleeting, but like, you are able to sustain it if you just keep doing the things every day that you need to put you in that state. So that's not going to be the last that we talk about that, but yeah, happiness it's a pursuit, you guys. It's never a destination. Would you ever move abroad again? Absolutely, I would. I want to move to New York after I graduate. I want to get a nice tech job either in New York or China, and go back and forth between those two countries. China is so technologically advanced, and I grew up in Vancouver. I grew up with a lot of Chinese. A lot of my cousins are Asian. Either they're half Japanese and half Persian, or half Persian and half Malaysian. My best friend since grade 5 is Malaysian. I love the culture. We love the food. Most of my best friends are Asian, so I want to go there too, because again, it's technological advancements. Everything's automated. It's just right up my alley. It's what I love. I love automation. I love technology. I love everything about it. It's the new wave, and it would be cool to live there. My ex lived there for 6 months, and he's Iranian and he can speak Chinese. So, yeah, I do want to move abroad again. I don't want to stay in Canada. I want to finish my school here. I'm grateful that I'm Canadian. When I'm not in Canada and I look at things, I'm like, woo, Vancouver. Like, I went to the San Diego Aquarium many years ago. Don't shit on me. Many years ago, Mercedes was a kid. And we went to the killer whale show, and they're like, these killer whales are off the coast of British Columbia from Victoria, BC, Victoria Island. And I'm the only one in the crowd. I was like, woo, British Columbia. Because I'm from there. So I'm proud of being Canadian, but I'm just sick of getting lost in the sauce, so to speak. I just want to experience other parts of the world, So, yeah, and I still haven't found my man-mate, my soulmate, and I feel like it's not from Vancouver. There's so many things about Vancouver that are wrong, but there's so many things like the scenery in the summertime that are just great. Okay, let's get into the podcast. This is a podcast question. I'm thinking these next set of questions, the way that they've kind of set this out for me. Why did you start the Pursuit of Happiness, this podcast? I just wanted to talk about things that were important to me. Fitness is important to me. Advice is important to me. Sharing my experiences is important to me. These are the things that when I meet people, I like to talk about. My favorite shows I love to talk about. I don't really like small talk. Like, as I'm sure you guessed by now, I get in deep, even over like a silly TV show. I get so deep. It's just, that's the way my ADHD brain works. So I wanted a place where I can talk about everything. And I'm not saying that I want to be the star and this is what I talk about. I'm just saying I have so much good input that I can give good advice because of the experiences I've been through. I can share about my experiences so that it can, hopefully people can take what they want from it. I can give my take on reality TV because I feel like sometimes my takes are so different the way I describe it from a lot of things that I see on other podcasts or blogging sites or whatnot. And that's everyone's interpretation. If every single person that watched reality TV would have a podcast and interpret their way, every single interpretation is going to be different. So I just wanted mine to kind of come to light because I watched it so much already. So why not kind of give an opinion, you know? I don't like to make fun of the any of the cast. I don't want to put them down. I never like to base my opinion on how they look. Like, it's just merely on what I see on the show, you know? But I didn't want to have 18 different podcasts because, like, I don't always want to talk about fitness. I'm ADHD. I get bored of it. I don't always want to talk about the Bravo shows. And that's why sometimes, like, I'm bad at always putting out an episode, you know? I know I should be a little bit more cohesive when it comes to that. But I wanted so that, okay, if today I want to talk about it, we're talking about it today. Let's go there because we're girls. Like, every conversation that we meet up and have together, like, for example, with my friends, if I'm calling them on the phone or we're texting or every conversation is different. Even if we talk about, let's say, reality TV every single time, it takes us into different, like, directions. So I wanted it to be like a place where you come, we chat, I give you my advice, and I have places that you're able to reach out to me, like these questions that I get. I have the voicemail, I have my website, I have the socials, the podcast socials, and I have my website socials. So I just kind of wanted a place where, now it all comes together on my YouTube, so if you're there, you'll see it, but a place that we can just inspire each other. And if I can put out my takes, my opinions, my advice on fitness, on health, on motherhood, maybe it can be an ecosystem of just taking what you can from it. It doesn't have to be like necessarily growth, but if I can help one person, if they see that I've done something a certain way and they go try it and it helps them, I'm happy with that. But I feel like I have interesting takes and I view life so differently than most people that I've ever met. So I want to share that with somebody and the world and hopefully make an impact that way. So that's why I started the Pursuit of Happiness, because I'm always on the pursuit. I'm always trying to find what makes me happy. And it's just never ending. And I get it now. It's a pursuit. It's not a destination. I always thought it was a destination. What's the most vulnerable thing you've shared? I've had an episode where I've cried. At my very earlier episodes, because I was struggling when I was in Mexico and I wasn't sure like what my purpose was, but I still made a podcast, and that's another reason, like, I'm able to just share my feelings, you know. And I don't do it because I want to be something someday. I just hope that whoever listens is able to take what they can from it and make their life a bit better, because I do have such crazy experiences, and hopefully one day it'll be a book or a movie, but I can't get into it now. But let's just say I've been involved with some notorious people that are really well known in North America, perhaps in jail at the moment. My experience of how I got there, how I was able to get out of it, what I gained from it, what advice I would give to further people, you know. Plus, I was an escort. I was in adult entertainment. I used to dance. I had my child single. I come from a Persian family, very strict Persian, like, cultural family but I had my kid at 29, and oh my God, I come from a very emotionally neglective set of parents. What else? I didn't work standard jobs. I was working jobs that would get paid cash. I didn't finish school. I moved the country. I, suffer from addiction, and I, relapsed numerous times. And there's just so much of my life that, I feel like, what's the point of going through all this if I can't share it with other people, just so maybe they can learn from it, or even just gain a little bit of knowledge, feel like they're not alone through it, So I really kind of wanted to make an impact that way. And if it gets monetized, that's great. Woohoo, bonus. But it's like an outlet for me. And I love talking. and hopefully merging the two can benefit everybody somehow, you know? So yeah, I've gotten vulnerable. Gotten so vulnerable. Um, have I ever wanted to quit? Sometimes. Sometimes I just doubt myself. I'm like, oh, is this really worth it? Um, but finally when I get on, I speak, and I think it's the ADHD, especially because I'm not taking my medication. Sometimes I have to really struggle to get to the point where I'm ready to record. But it's been so worth it. And yeah, of course everyone has because once you take something that you love and you make it a job, like once I was a general manager at a gym, and then I had to quit after 4 years. I was like, I can't do this anymore because fitness was my life. Like I loved it as a hobby, but once it became my job, I hated it. I was not working out. I worked at a gym and I was in the worst shape of my freaking life working at the gym. um so that's why I was very hesitant, because I'm like, great, like I love watching these shows, I love chatting, I love giving advice, but doing this, is it going to make me hate those things? But no, I love it. And I love not hearing my voice, but now it's not as bad hearing my voice. Like I'm okay listening to my voice now, whereas before I hated it. And what's funny is when I was younger, I moved away from Red Deer, Alberta, because remember when we came to Canada when I was when I was 4 in 1988, we went to Red Deer, Alberta first, and I had met a girl there. She was my next door neighbor. We were best friends. Shout out to Megan if she ever will stumble across this. I've tried to reach out to her to reconnect, but she completely ignored me. She's like, yeah, let's reconnect, and she never reached out again. So I've talked about that too. Maybe some things are just better left in the past. But anyways, when I moved, me and her would send each other, we had cassette tapes, like the decks. We would record our voices instead of writing letters, and we would send each other tapes back and forth. So I've always kind of liked, and people have always told me my whole life, you should do radio. You have a radio voice. So, this is me doing radio. Okay. Let's finish off with some Bravo questions. I'm seeing choo 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 choo. Which housewife do you relate to most? Oh, I don't know. That's a tough one. There's so many of them. Oh my gosh, I'm not prepared for that. I would say one of them would be, okay, and I hope I don't get flack for this, but one of my earlier ones, like when the franchises first started, might be a Bethany Frankel. Like, and by that I mean like she was constantly doing all these different things to try to find where she would fit and where she would make the most money and where she would become successful. And she was in her, what was she in her 30s, and the people around her were like not rich, but like, yeah, let's say rich, and they had husbands and kids. And I've never been married, I've never had a husband, I've tried so many different things that I thought I'm a graveyard of startup jobs, of startup entrepreneurial things, and nothing ever stuck. So I feel like maybe the earlier seasons of Bethany is kind of where I'm at, and I'm surrounded by people that like own homes, and I just moved back in with my mom, with my daughter. Like the three of us are under one roof, which I think is great for my mom and daughter, because my daughter has her grandma and her mom, and my mom has her daughter and granddaughter, and we help out and whatnot. And I love it. I love, like, even if I was able at this point to afford my own home, I would buy it big enough so that my mom would have a space in there and my dad would come back and live. That's just how I am. I'm kind of like Lala that way. That's another good. So maybe what Bravo or reality TV star also do I relate to most is Lala, in the sense that like I pop off sometimes, no questions asked. Although I feel like I've calmed down a lot, but I still have those moments. Much less of when I was younger. I'm very family oriented. My daughter's father is not involved, although, mind you, his family is. So it's not like she doesn't know them or anything. She knows. It's a long story there. That's part of the story that I'm going to say when I write a book, you guys. Let's just leave it at notorious gangster. But and that's his fault. He chose that path. But what housewife do I, and reality star, I'm going to alter that question a bit. It's probably Lala and Bethany. It's like I'm still trying to find, in terms of Bethany, my career, where I'm going to be the most successful. I'm surrounded by people that have all this success, and I feel like I'm not there quite yet. So there is a bit of comparison, like, oh, this person has like this much money and a kid, and they own a house, and they pay a mortgage, and like I can't even, I still have debt that I have to pay off, you know? And then like Lala, because I also call my family my pod, my tribe. As much as I sometimes like just want to wrangle their necks and I feel like they don't give me the support that I need, they're still the first people that I would call for anything. If I want to travel, I'll be like, hey, we're going here. You guys want to come? I love that we all are under one roof. When I was younger, it was funny because I wanted to get away from all living together. And then now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, we all need to live back together. But in a big house, okay? Because I can't have them in my space if I'm trying to do something, you know? Right now, it's really close quarters, but my mom goes to work during the day. My daughter's at school, so I'm able to have my space. I go to the gym. I do what I want to do. And I'm trying to just savor it because I know once my school starts in September, it's going to be a huge adjustment for me because I haven't really had something where I need to be quite like routine that way. Like everything was based on when I wanted to do it, and now like it's things that I'm going to have to do. Plus the weather just gets shitty in Vancouver in the fall. So yeah, I would say those two because of the things that I just outlined, but more because of where, like Lala, where she stands with family and how close she is to her family, and Bethany, where she's trying to like find and make something successful and have an impact, you know? I'd say that's why I relate to them the most. What franchise is the most underrated? I'm going to say Atlanta for sure. And I know Atlanta has a lot of fans, but it's like certain platforms like it more. And I find, as much as I love Beverly Hills, I feel like it's a bit overrated, but it is good. Like it's still one of my favorites, Beverly Hills, but really overrated. And like Atlanta doesn't get as much praise. Like Atlanta is so good, you guys. I love the Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you could join one Bravo cast for a season, which would it be? I don't know if I would want to join an existing cast, but I would love to be like Real Housewives of like maybe Dubai, if I could join, or like Real Housewives of like Cabo, you know, or maybe in the future, like I don't know, Real Housewives of maybe New York. There you go, New York. That's another one that's underrated. I love New York. I love the East Coast. I love Jersey. I love New York. I love Miami. I love Potomac. I love Atlanta. There's a different breed of women that encompass the East Coast, and I love it. I'm gonna do one more Bravo question. What reality TV lesson applies in real life? I would say authenticity. I think that we see it with the women as well. Maybe it's my odd, because, you know, like the autism part, because I feel like I have a little bit of it, and I'll explain why, because I just cannot be around people. Everything has to be on my terms. I have really routine structure when it comes to like OCD almost, you know? But I feel like I'm so literal, I'm so honest. When there's something that I don't like or someone that I don't like, I can just tell them to their face. I don't have to beat around the bush. I don't like small talk. But I find that a lot of these shows, and I know it's for the dramatic effect, they will kind of not say anything to the person's face, but they'll go in confessionals and they'll be confessional gangsters, or you have ones that say to the person's face and they're a confessional gangster, and it's both. I feel like the more honest you are, the more you kind of get in front of things and it doesn't drag on. Another, for example, lesson to that ties in with that is like when there's something that's said about you. Oh, you know, had bankruptcy 5 years ago. Okay, yeah, I did. I had bankruptcy 5 years ago. Okay, now what? So you say it, you get it over with, and no one brings it up again because it's boring, because you don't care. So nobody else is going to care, you know? Look at Rhode Island. Kelsey said, yeah, I have a man and I have a boyfriend. if it was any other franchise and the woman hiding it, it would be a big deal. But because she was just honest about it and she said it, it's not a big deal. So I think honesty is key when it comes to these type of reality shows. And of course, them not being honest gives us our drama. So in terms of what we're watching, do we like a little bit spicy? Sure. But what it applies to real life is if you just get in front of it and you own it, like it's not going to be as big of a deal. You don't give it as much power. There's no, because you've taken its power away because you acknowledged it. I think that's the greatest lesson. One last question. It says rapid fire here. Coffee or tea? Always coffee. I have at least 1 cup every morning that I wake up. I add my collagen to it. I have it black. I add a little bit of milk, but if I'm somewhere where there's no milk, I don't need milk. I can have it black, but I have to have my glutamine in it. And if you are a fitness person, you know what that means. I have glutamine with my electrolytes, with my EAs, and I have glutamine in my coffee, and I have collagen in my coffee. And they're both flavorless. They're just powders. You don't even taste it. It doesn't dilute your coffee. I have a Keurig, and I make myself a Keurig every single morning. Just starts off my day. I love the smell of coffee in the morning. So definitely coffee. Anyways, pursuers, thank you so much for joining me on this episode, my Dear Noz, Get to Know Noz edition. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share my podcast. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm just starting out. I'm trying to make this work, Thank you for being here with me on this journey. You can reach me, go to the show notes. All my socials are there, my personal socials, plus the podcast socials. Feel free to follow. Feel free to DM, contact me. I want to chat. I want to know you. I want to, converse. I want to chat about our housewives. Find me there. Next episode, I am going to do Rhode Island and Atlanta. But thank you so much, pursuers. Don't forget, we are on a pursuit. We are not reaching a destination. We are constantly pursuing. And we will always be pursuing happiness because that's what's important. Love you all. See you next time.